What's up, guys? This is Chris from DraftDashboard.com.
Here are my DFS picks for MLB Sunday, April 17th.
These picks apply for DraftKings and FanDuel. Before I get started, please drop a like on this video and hit that red subscribe button
And hit that bell icon.
so you don't miss our new videos.
In this video, I'm going to go over my top DFS picks for today's MLB slate. And if you stick around to the very end of this video, we'll use the Draft Dashboard tools to make a DFS lineup using the picks we just made. Okay guys, we have an 11-game slate today, so let's take a look at the pitcher position. I like Alec Manoa with a 6% pitching advantage over a low-salary batting team, the Oakland Athletics. Alec Manoa is only giving up a .488 OPS versus righties, and he's facing 5 righties. Now, the Athletics have only hit one of his last 7 pitches. That's a 143 batting average, but it is a small sample size, so hard to really take that into consideration. But the splits are fantastic here, and Alec Manoa is $10,000 FanDuel salary, same price on DraftKings, and he averaged 35 fantasy points per game on the season last year, had an ERA of 3.22, record was 9-2 on the season, pitching an average of 92 pitches per game. So I like Alec Manoa here versus the Oakland Athletics. Now I also like Nestor Cortez pitching against the Baltimore Orioles. Nestor Cortez is giving up a .680 OPS versus righties, facing 7 righties. He also pitches his best ball versus switch hitters, only giving up a .421 OPS versus switch hitters, facing 2 switch hitters. And the Orioles have only hit 5 of his last 39 pitches. That's a 128 batting average and a decent sample size. So Nestor Cortez is $8,400 FanDuel salary, $200 less on DraftKings. He averaged 23 fantasy points per game on the season last year, had an ERA of 2.9, and his record was 2-3 on the season, pitching an average of 66 pitches per game, which that pitch count is a little concerning, but I think he's in a good spot here, and he could get it done in limited pitches. So I like Nestor Cortez here versus the Baltimore Orioles. Okay, let's take a look at the catcher first base position. I like Vladimir Guerrero Jr., and he's batting against Adam Oller. Now, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. bats 11% better versus righty pitchers, batting a 1.054 OPS versus righties. There's no at-bats versus Oller yet. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is $4,400 FanDuel salary, $1,300 more on DraftKings, averaged 13 fantasy points per game on the season last year. He has a batting average of .311, so I like Vladimir Guerrero Jr. here versus this low salary pitcher, Adam Oller. I also like Salvador Perez with a 51% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Tyler Alexander. Salvador Perez bats 20% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a 1.004 OPS versus lefties. Tyler Alexander pitching 31% worse to righties as he does lefties, giving up a .824 OPS versus righties. Now, Salvador Perez is 0 for 3 versus Alexander, but I like the splits, and he's $3,500 FanDuel salary, $1,600 more on DraftKings, averaged 11 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .273, so I like Salvador Perez here versus Tyler Alexander. I also like Kyle Schwarber, also eligible at the outfield position. Kyle Schwarber has a 62% batting advantage over Alicier Hernandez. Kyle Schwarber is batting 23% better versus righty pitchers, batting a 1.004 OPS versus righties. Alicier Hernandez pitches 39% worse to lefties as he does righties, giving up a .985 OPS versus lefties. There's no at-bats versus Hernandez yet, and Kyle Schwarber is $3,100 FanDuel salary. Now he is $2,000 more on DraftKings, so I prefer that FanDuel price. But he averaged 12 fantasy points per game on the season last year. He has a batting average of .266, so I like Kyle Schwarber here versus Alicier Hernandez.
Before I continue with the picks, I'm excited today because we added a new contest for everyone watching.
If you want to enter the drawing for $25 PayPal,
all you need to do is like this video, hit that subscribe button, and make a quick comment below to be entered into the drawing. We'll reply to a random comment and let you know that you won.
And we'll send you $25 PayPal.
So it's that easy, and we pick a new winner every Saturday and announce them in our video. So get your comment in now so I can add another entry for you.
I also like Miguel Santo, and this is a value play here. I think it's a pretty good value play. Miguel Santo has a 23% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Michael Wacha. Miguel Santo is batting 15% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .810 OPS versus righties. Michael Wacha, he pitches his worst ball versus righty batters, giving up a .879 OPS versus righties. Now, Miguel Santo is only 1 for 5 versus Wacha. That one hit was a double, but I like this pick because he's only $2,500 FanDuel salary and the same price on DraftKings. So I love that price on both sites, especially on DraftKings. He averaged 10 fantasy points per game on the season last year, got a batting average of .223. So I like Miguel Santo here versus Michael Wacha. Okay, another value play here. I like Gavin Sheets with a 104% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, JP Feyereisen. Gavin Sheets is batting 66% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .875 OPS versus righties. JP Feyereisen, he's giving up a .790 OPS versus lefties. He pitches his worst ball versus lefty batters, 38% worse than his other pitches. And Gavin Sheets is only $2,300 FanDuel salary, $1,100 more on DraftKings, averaged 9 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .250. So I like Gavin Sheets here versus JP Feyereisen. Okay, let's take a look at the second base position. Also eligible at the outfield position, I like Ketel Marte with a 44% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, David Peterson. Ketel Marte is batting 35% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a 1.204 OPS versus lefties. David Peterson throws his worst ball versus switch hitters, giving up a .844 OPS versus switch hitters. Ketel Marte is 1 for 1, and that one hit was a home run versus Peterson. He's $3,100 FanDuel salary, $2,000 more on DraftKings. And Ketel Marte, he averaged 11 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .318. So I like Ketel Marte here versus David Peterson. I also like Whit Merrifield. Eligible at second base and outfield, Whit Merrifield has a 36% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Tyler Alexander. Whit Merrifield is batting a .736 OPS versus lefties. Tyler Alexander giving up a .824 OPS versus righties. Whit Merrifield is 2 for 5, batting .400 with a .800 OPS versus Alexander. He's $3,000 FanDuel salary, $1,800 more on DraftKings, and he averaged 11 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of .277, so I like Whit Merrifield here versus Tyler Alexander. Now I also like Jeff McNeil with a 33% batting advantage over a low-salary pitcher, Humberto Castellanos. And Jeff McNeil is batting a .698 OPS versus righties. Humberto Castellanos pitches his worst ball versus lefty batters, 26% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .919 OPS versus lefties. There's no at-bats versus Castellanos yet, and Jeff McNeil is $2,900 FanDuel salary, only $700 more on DraftKings. He averaged 7 fantasy points per game on the season last year. He has a batting average of .251, so I like Jeff McNeil here versus Humberto Castellanos. Okay, I also like Cesar Hernandez with a 30% batting advantage over Jose Quintana. Cesar Hernandez bats 13% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .749 OPS versus lefties. Jose Quintana is giving up a .894 OPS versus switch hitters. And Cesar Hernandez is 4 for 12, batting a .333 batting average and a 1.012 OPS versus Quintana. He's only $2,700 FanDuel salary, $800 more on DraftKings, averaged 9 fantasy points per game on the season last year, and has a batting average of .232. So I like Cesar Hernandez here versus Jose Quintana.
Real quick, guys, I got great news. For a limited time, we're offering a full 30-day trial to Draft Dashboard. You can try all of our DFS tools for all sports. You can try the Position Optimizer, where you can see the top players ranked for each position. And we added a new Player Trends tool, where you can see the top salary differences between FanDuel and DraftKings. It's a really good tool to help you pick out value for the site that you're playing on. Oh, and if you're tired of doing research every day, we just added a cheat sheet that shows hand-picked plays for the slate. No confusing stat lines, no headaches, just a simple cheat sheet that shows the absolute best players for your lineups.
Okay, let's take a look at the third base position. I like Luis Arias with a 10% batting advantage over Michael Wacha. Luis Arias, or Arraez, is batting 17% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .734 OPS versus righties. Michael Wacha giving up a .812 OPS versus lefties. Luis Arraez is 2 for 6 versus Wacha with a 1.166 OPS. And one of those 2 hits was a home run. He's $2,800 FanDuel salary, $400 less on DraftKings, so I love that DraftKings price. He averaged 8 fantasy points per game on the season last year. This guy's got a batting average of .294. Looks like he's a steal on DraftKings, so I like Luis Arraez here versus Michael Wacha. Okay, let's take a look at the shortstop position. I like Corey Seager with a 50% batting advantage over Jose Suarez. Corey Seager batting 10% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .872 OPS versus lefties, and Jose Suarez pitches his worst ball by far to lefty batters, 40% worse than his other pitches, giving up a .999 OPS versus lefties. Corey Seager is 3,300 FanDuel salary, averaged 11 fantasy points per game on the season last year, has a batting average of 306. So I like Corey Seager here versus Jose Suarez. I also like Alberto Mondesi with a 42% batting advantage over Tyler Alexander. Alberto Mondesi batting 26% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .979 OPS versus lefties. Tyler Alexander pitching his worst ball versus switch hitters, giving up a .831 OPS versus switch hitters. Mondesi is 1-for-1 versus Alexander. He's 2,800 FanDuel salary, 1,600 more on DraftKings. Averaged 11 fantasy points per game on the season last year. Has a batting average of .230. So I like Alberto Mondesi here versus Tyler Alexander. I also like Joey Wendle with a 28% batting advantage over Zach Wheeler. Joey Wendle batting 21% better versus righty pitchers, batting a .792 OPS versus righties. Zach Wheeler pitching his worst ball versus lefty batters, giving up a .616 OPS versus lefties. But I like this pick because Joey Wendle is 3-for-7, batting a .429 batting average and a .858 OPS versus Wheeler. And he's only 2,600 FanDuel salary. Now he is 1,900 more on DraftKings, so I prefer that FanDuel price. He averaged 9 fantasy points per game on the season last year, and he's got a batting average of .265. So I like Joey Wendle here versus Zach Wheeler. Okay, moving on to the outfield position. A couple of stud picks here at the outfield position. I like Aaron Judge with an 11% batting advantage over Bruce Zimmerman. Aaron Judge batting 8% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .943 OPS versus lefties. Bruce Zimmerman pitching his worst ball versus righty batters, giving up a .852 OPS versus righties. And I like this pick because Aaron Judge is 3-for-4, batting a .750 batting average and a 3.05 OPS versus Zimmerman. 2 of those 3 hits were for home runs. He's 3,900 FanDuel salary, 1,600 more on DraftKings. Averaged 12 fantasy points per game on the season last year. Got a batting average of .287. So I like Aaron Judge here versus Bruce Zimmerman. Now I also like Bryce Harper with a 68% batting advantage over Alicier Hernandez. Bryce Harper batting 29% better versus righty pitchers, batting a 1.149 OPS versus righties. Alicier Hernandez pitching much worse to lefties as he does righties, 39% worse versus lefties as he does righties, giving up a .985 OPS versus lefties. And Bryce Harper is 4-for-10 with a 1.5 OPS versus Hernandez. 2 of those 4 hits were for home runs. He's 3,900 FanDuel salary, 2,300 more on DraftKings. Averaged 14 fantasy points per game on the season last year and has a batting average of .309. So I like Bryce Harper here versus Alicier Hernandez. I also like Brian Reynolds with a 19% batting advantage over a low salary pitcher, Patrick Corbin. Brian Reynolds is batting 5% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a .918 OPS versus lefties. Patrick Corbin giving up a .892 OPS versus switch hitters. I like this pick because Brian Reynolds is 3-for-8, batting a .375 batting average, a .775 OPS versus Corbin, He's $2,900 FanDuel salary, $2,000 more on DraftKings. He averaged 11 fantasy points per game on the season last year. He's got a batting average of .302. So I like Brian Reynolds here versus Patrick Corbin. Okay, and a value play for you. Take a look at Lane Thomas with 104% batting advantage over Jose Quintana. These splits are just fantastic. Lane Thomas is batting 51% better versus lefty pitchers, batting a 1.184 OPS versus lefties. Jose Quintana pitching 53% worse to righties as he does lefties, giving up a 1.002 OPS versus righties. No at-bats versus Quintana yet. Lane Thomas only $2,300 FanDuel salary, $900 more on DraftKings, averaged 8 fantasy points per game on the season last year, and has a batting average of .235. So I like Lane Thomas as a value play here versus Jose Quintana.
If you want to try all these daily fantasy tools for yourself, click the link in the description below this video or just go to draftdashboard.com. You can use our DFS lineup optimizer to build quality lineups using our picks and your own custom player pool. Click the link in the description below this video and try all these daily fantasy tools right now. Thanks so much for watching. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe to this channel and hit that bell icon so you can get instant updates whenever we post a new video. Thank you so much for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this video, please smiggity smash that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Oh, and please comment below with your favorite player for this MLB slate. I love to hear what you guys have to think. Thanks again, and good luck.